Since I'm the last one, I will really speed up the presentation. My name is Snjezana Rudic, coming from Republika Srpska, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I was asked to share some numbers and figures related to the recent floods that hit Bosnia and Herzegovina, not only Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also the whole region. The presentation will be divided into two parts. The first one really showing you figures and numbers based on the assessments that the authorities of Bosnia and Herzegovina have done jointly with the World Bank, with the United Nations, with the European Commission sometime in June. And the second part of the presentation is actually, I would say, persuasive one, focused for those of you coming from the insurance industry, just to show you business potential in the Republic of Srpska. Of course, business potential coming hand by hand with lots of challenges. The final numbers of the assessments are still to be clarified. We expect them during this month, but let me just remind you on something that we have been heard this morning. The event itself was, as His Excellency Mr. Ambassador said last night, a real drama. It was extraordinary rainfall in the mid of the May, probably one of the largest in 120 years. Unfortunately, over the last 20 years, we've done our best to make some preconditions for that. Some pre-existing environmental degradations are factors such as deforestation, some intervention in riverbeds, construction in risky areas, and so on. Altogether, that caused the River Sava to peak, generating flash floods. Lots of municipalities and the whole country declared a state of emergency, and it is estimated that around 40% of the territory and 60% of a total population suffered severe damages and losses, and around 55% persons were temporarily displaced. I just forgot to say that since I'm coming from Republic of Srpska, which is one out of two entities of Bosnia, the figures that I'm showing you are related only to that part. However, if you want to have the whole picture, it's really easy. You just need to double the number and you'll get the whole picture. Sad memories that you all have are through the lenses of a camera, like the pictures that you can see on the presentation. The assessments that I mentioned included three types of the estimates. The first thing is related to the partial or total destruction or severe damage of assets that are to be repaired or reconstructed. To add to that, the assessments included related losses like in production, income, livelihoods, and employment. And to add to that, diminished access to services and goods. In sum, it is estimated that the total economic impact of a disaster was around 1 billion of euros. Compared to our GDP for this year and our budget, the numbers are 20% of GDP and around 90% of budget. As a result, the economy of Republic of Srpska and Bosnia generally is expected to contract by 1.5 basis point from GDP 2% that was estimated. It is decreased to 0.5 only. It will also put further strain on public finance, raising the fiscal deficit from a baseline of 2.5% of GDP to 3 or even more in 2014. The structure of economic impact is not uniform in character along different sectors and affected municipalities, just because the origin is a difference. The origin sometimes is landslides, sometimes floods. But what is evident is that the hardest hit is in private sector, families, small and medium enterprises, and agricultural producers. And of course, the hardest hit economic sectors are agriculture, transport, and so on. Just in some pies, you can see that around 3/4 of total damages and losses are related to the private sector. I wanted to go through all the subsectors, but since we do not have enough time, just allow me to say one or two sentences for something that we think it is very important. For example, housing and household items. They're all privately owned, and housing sector suffered severe damages associated both with flooding as well as landslides. For the agriculture, allow me just to say that it is one of the most important sector of the economy, and unfortunately, the floods occurred at a very critical time in the agricultural calendar. And if we talk about subsectors, let's say that the crop subsector bears the most of the damages and losses, around 80%. In the health sector, for example, it is very interesting that sector suffered very limited direct damages to health facilities. Interruption of health services was localized and minimal. However, there are considerable losses to the health insurance fund because thousands of people just lost their jobs. Since I'm mentioning the health insurance sector, that brings me to the second part of the presentation, just some of the facts that I actually took from our official statistics from the insurance agency of Republic of Srpska. You can see that only 6% of total accrued premium is related to the insurance of assets against fire and natural disaster. The sector itself is focused, as in the region, mostly in the insurance against liability in respect of the use of motor vehicles. These 6% of the insurance of assets against fire and natural disaster for the first 6 months caused payment, claim settlement actually, only around 1 million euros. There are some claims paid for floods. They are around 8 million euros, and they are mostly related to casco insurance of the cars and so on. So what is maybe worth mentioning that cash outflows from the insurance sector related to the settlements for the floods are almost 40% of total non-life outflows for these first 6 months. So if we add some claims that are pending, and there are much more of them, around 30%, that cash flows will be even higher. Instead of conclusion, allow me just to share with you some lessons that we learned. As we heard many times this morning, there is a rising frequency of natural disasters, and we are indeed more aware of environmental risks. The economic impact of a natural disaster can be devastating. How much devastating, just to remind you that we jointly with Serbia called for the International Donor Conference in Brussels, and lots of countries, governments, international organizations, and NGOs and individuals, just to mention probably one of the best ambassadors of Serbia, Mr. Novak Djokovic, showed really lots of solidarity. There is increased awareness of the need for fight against climate change and its causes, and one of the possible and affordable solutions, we think, is developing a culture of insurance. And just to end with, Republic of Srpska is in the process of negotiation with the World Bank for financing the capital funds to join Europa. Thank you.